Welcome to Dutchess and Her Dukes, a podcast where I speak to dopest New York City hustlers in pursuit of their dreams. My name is Dutchess, and these are my Dukes. Hello.
Hi.
Could you please introduce yourself and tell me where you're from and what you're all about?
So, I'm Deon da Phenom, and I'm from the south side of the Bronx, and Millbrook. So Millbrook is literally on the bottom side of the South Bronx. It's right next to the Bruckner and the Major Deacon. It's like interconnects both of them and the RFK to take you to Queens. But so over there, that's the neighborhood that I'm from.
What's your background?
Like my ethnicity?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm Dominican American.
I was gonna guess Dominican.
Yeah.
I'm Polish, by the way.
Oh, wow.
In case you didn't know. You probably didn't know.
I probably didn't know.
That's cool. So talk to me about your journey. Like, how did you start making music and why?
So I actually started making music through other outlet, which was through poetry and doing reflection through poetry. So growing up, there's a lot of trauma, a lot of stuff that you go through in life. And so one of the things that was able to help me be able to articulate and kind of put two and two together to understand that stuff is okay and things is through the use of poetry, spoken word, and just being able to be around other like-minded individuals that you know that everybody goes through things. And it might not be exactly the same, but there's a lot of relatable events that go on. So, poetry helped me to be able to sharpen my tool, to be able to use my pen. And
do you want to talk about trauma? Like what may have happened that pushed you to poetry? And by the way, just to ease your mind, me too. Like fiction, like literature was an escape form for me from where I grew up.
Okay, so sure. Basically, with trauma is just at a time growing up in a single parent household is one form of trauma that there's a lot of people that do deal with that, but there's a lot of people that don't, that live with both parents and have kind of that whole family dynamic that gives them more of a structure as opposed to when it's not like that. You got one person basically playing both sides of the role. So that's one thing. And then also too, the environment where I come from, a lot of it is tough, gritty. So just being in that environment causes you to think in a negative manner more than just wanting to just be a kid and enjoying life.
Did you have to, I don't know, fight when you were growing up? Because it's different for boys and girls, I feel like.
So, I'll say there was a point in time, 2008, 2009, 2010, you going outside, there's a probability you walk through the wrong places, you're probably going to end up scrapping and fighting with people. So that happened quite a few, during those times and stuff. But then over time, I stopped getting into fights just for the pure fact that, as I took self-defense classes, they told me the best way to not be in a fight is to just avoid being in one altogether. So if you could diffuse it, then it's better for both sides.
It's the smartest thing I've ever heard.
With poetry, it just poetry is a way that you can express yourself, and people use it in other ways to empower people as well. But for me, it was more so therapeutic, because growing up in the Bronx, a lot of stuff that's deemed mental health issues now wasn't really studied or really understood a lot back then. So a lot of people just basically release the stresses and everything through doing vices and doing stuff. And
exactly, drugs and
right, yeah. So for me, just writing and being around other like-minded individuals and open mics, and then doing the networking and talking, and then actually winning competitions was stuff that helped me to be the person I am to this day. So
that's fire.
Yeah.
Wait, so you won open mics, or was it written competitions?
Some was open mics, and then there was a competition I had in college one time, and I made it to the top 3.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I made it to top 3. I didn't end up winning. I don't know why, but yeah, I made it to top 3.
Was it poetry or was it already like your music, which is also obviously poetry? To me, like rap is poetry in general, but
No, it was poetry. No beat, just
no beat.
straight acapella, spitting in a unique range of tones, but using articulate syllables and similes and metaphors in specific ways.
Hell yeah. It's like so hard to do, in my opinion. Like I'm a fiction writer and I can spend like, 30 minutes on one sentence trying to figure out like better way to say it.
Right.
But I think it's easier overall than than writing a song that's like, catchy. Very cool. So obviously you were in the Bronx and then like you started getting into poetry, and do you feel like those experiences influence the way you make music?
Yeah, because like doing poetry is like doing the basics is the pen and the paper. So like just writing, doing revision, just looking at what I write, it kind of gives me an idea of like what's the theme that I want to convey to people, and like just having those to think about just helps me say, okay, cool. If I want this to have substance, I know how to properly give it substance. But if I want something to be fun, where people like to indulge in vices, I also know how to tap into that realm as well. So it's more so like just knowing how to use stuff for the right time, right place.
Smart. And are there any particular themes that you find yourself coming back to over and over again?
Well, themes that I see that I come to a lot is mainly just things that involve what I do, like
Which is what?
which is I do indulge in a lot of marijuana. I do
Marijuana smoke.
yeah,
I don't know
do
the way you
indulge.
said it. I think Eminem has like lyrics indulging in marijuana smoke. Literally, that was the line, so I love it.
Nah, yeah, but I talk a lot about Mary. I also talk a lot about like my mental, about like what I do. I also talk about love. I also talk about like just anything that is relatable, honestly.
Do it in this like individual way, and a lot of people relate to it regardless. It's so beautiful. Like that's what art is about. It's all about like how do you feel about life, basically, right?
Right.
That's
So
cool.
it's funny, right? Because I tell this to people a lot. I say, like, when I make songs, I like to think of it as canvases. And each song, I'm painting a different picture on each canvas. And some could be similar to others. Kind of like how when you look at real artists, they kind of have their footprint when you could tell that they're the ones that painted it. So it's kind of like that when I make music. I kind of think of it as a canvas. And each one is his own individual art, which kind of why like when you listen to my music, it doesn't all sound the same. They all sound different.
Exactly, which actually brings me to my next question. Like I've noticed when I was listening to your stuff that there's like various genres that you're touching, tapping into, like you said earlier, which I love, by the way. And I hate putting people in categories because we're not just like one thing. You're not just a rapper. You're not just an R&B singer. Like you're not just an art. Like there's different things. But I'm still. If you were to describe your music, like what would you say this is?
If I had to describe my music, I'll say it's something that's raw. It's something that, like I said, is relatable. I want to be able to not only reach out to one certain type of demographic of people. I kind of want to reach out to a whole band of demographics of people, because maybe you like rock and roll, but you might not necessarily like hip hop. Maybe you just like hip hop, but you're not a fan of country or house music. But one thing I know from playing DJing and stuff like that, you just gotta know the crowd. So if I can have a variety for people, no matter where I'm at, there's something they're gonna like.
Definitely. Actually, this song, for example, On the Road, to me, that's like a club, like that's club music. I used to be very much into like dance and house music when I was in my 20s. So that brought me back. I love that song. That song is fire. I'll be working out to it, and I'll show your friend Joel at Blink what I'm listening to if he's there.
You hear that, Joe?
Yeah, shout out. But what is your favorite? Like, do you have a favorite genre? Or are you like me, that like I love rap? That would be my number. If I had to pick one, I would say rap or hip hop. But there's like so many other genres that I love, and besides, like hip hop and rap also derives from other genres. So I feel like it's single-minded to say like, oh, I don't like this or that. It's all eclectic. But I'm curious what you.
So
prefer.
like my go-to, right? So
Your
my
go-to.
go-to is hip hop, but it's like the OG hip hop, boom bap style hip hop is my go-to, because honestly that's what got me into like that's what captivated me to want to even dabble into the genre, and it's also paying homage to the founders and the forefathers of hip hop. So I'll say OG hip hop.
Give me some names, favorites.
KRS-One, Lord Finesse, Nas, Jay-Z.
Yes.
Yeah,
I love him.
Biggie Smalls, Tupac.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, like when it comes to like hip hop, those are like people that's in my top 10 like hip hop rappers. And then I feel like everything is divided through generations, so we talk about sub genres and stuff. Like 2000s is a whole category, 90s is a category, 80s. So I feel like it's subjective, but that's like my stance on that.
What do you like? Any contemporary artists, or you're just like, this is trash?
Not that none that comes to mind at the moment.
Interesting.
Mm-mm.
Let me ask you like some specific. Do you know who QT720 is?
QT720
From Philly?
Nah.
It's like such a bizarre genre. Like this is just like my recommendation if you're curious. Like I don't know if you're gonna like it or not because it's very out there, but it's interesting, and it's like the beat is intentionally louder than the vocals, and it's like scratched on purpose. So that's like a weird one. And then what did you think of Cash Cobain this summer? It was like
Cash Cobain.
Did you like that type of music?
Yeah, so interesting. My boy Cam Nasty he actually worked with Cash Cobain and had a couple of his beats like way back in like 2018, 2017.
Shit.
So like I was aware of Cash Cobain, but I feel like Cash Cobain grew a lot from what I've seen, like from 2018, 2017 to like now. Like he's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And stuff. So like what he did this summer, like I think he did a real good thing. He came with his own wave. He came with his own sonics.
Great flow.
And everybody wants to work with him, and that's kind of like one of the goals when you're that influential. Everybody just gravitates to you. I haven't seen something like that since the Baby in like 2019, like where everybody just wants to work with you, and you create this sound that everybody kind of mimics.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like he invented like a totally new flow, and then everybody else started making those like romantic songs. It's like for the ladies, as they say.
Yeah, they call it sexy drill.
Sexy drill.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
That's much better than saying I hate when they say for the ladies. Like, bro, you may not think that, but I like listening to gangster rap. Don't call me like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you run like a girl, or like, you know what I'm saying? It's like annoying.
Yeah, I know.
Cool. So that was also one of my questions, like the biggest inspirations, like musically. So I guess you answered that. Do you like any other forms of art that you felt inspired by, like film or visual arts or anything like that, or even books or poets?
Yeah. So I'm into videography. I'm into like cinematology and stuff like that. Like seeing how people are able to take the camera and kind of edit stuff. Kind of like the engineer behind doing a song, but mainly the visual side of it. So I kind of like that. Like I forgot what his name is, but the guy that made Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, Gil. I forgot what his name is. It's Gil something though. Like his angles of how he just captures certain moments and it pans in and stuff like that is what I gravitate more towards. and stuff that I like to like see.
It almost sounds like minimal art. I love that too, personally. Oh my God, I can talk about films and shows forever. But what comes to mind, based on what you said, is this music video. It's old, by Jay-Z, and the song is called On to the Next One.
Oh, yeah.
And that artistically, I always tell people, like, watch this video. It's so beautiful artistically, and nobody ever, like, remembers what it looks like. But it's essentially like an art film, and it's so bizarre because you have, like, single shots of objects, and it's all black and white, but it looks like sculptures, or, like, each frame is like a painting. It's so beautiful, but, like, minimal. So let's say, like a zoom in onto the cup, and then like I don't know, it's like sounds very basic and dumb, but it looks gorgeous. I don't know if that's something that you may like.
No, yeah, I like seeing how certain things can transition in the film, and seeing how like you could do something that's kind of not regular or that's out of the ordinary, uncommon, like, and then like stuff like that really makes me be like, oh, okay, I'm kind of intrigued, because I feel like nowadays a lot of people definitely just see somebody do something and then wants to emulate what they do.
Exactly.
So that's the thing about art that I can appreciate, is when somebody actually attempts to be creative. And it's nothing wrong with, you know, being influenced and doing stuff as, you know, influenced, but like artists that are like generational, they set a trend. That's kind of like the way I view things.
Yeah, I feel like you're doing it too, actually, by like stepping outside of like regular box, I guess. You know what I mean? Like with experimenting with different beats and different flows and different music, almost genres. I think that's what you're doing. Like it's different. I like that. But then the question that I always wonder about is like, can you, as an artist, like ever produce work without being influenced? Because we're influenced by everything, right? Like everything we read, see, hear. Like even if you say like, no, I don't want to, like I want to do something different, you may still be influenced by something. So I think that's like a tricky thing. Like plagiarism obviously is like a whole different ballgame, but let's say people might come up with the same exact, let's say, not verse, but like wording or like simile or metaphor that another rapper already came up with. And like, how is that even possible? Were they influenced by similar art? Like, what's up?
Right. I feel like when you paying homage to somebody, that's something that's a little different. But like actually plagiarizing, just stealing people's work and then making it seem as if you pioneered it, came up with it, like you're the mastermind behind it. It's kind of like the Tesla and the Thomas Edison theory that they talk about.
I don't know theory. Tell me.
So don't take me literally, but it's I'm talking about like what's common. They say that Nikola Tesla was the guy that actually learned how to like start the light with electricity, and that Edison is the one that like popularized it. So he's the one that gets glorified for it. When that's like a whole thing that people could research on themselves.
I had no idea.
Yeah, but that's just something that in regards to like what I'm talking about.
It's a great example, by the way. Great example, yeah.
Based on who a status does a certain flow would then be the person that gets deemed the pioneer, when actually somebody else could have pioneered it. They just don't have the same influence or reach as that person does.
Or resources, right?
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
There's a lot of stuff like that, but I'm very in tune with underground culture. So
you are? Talk to me about that.
Well, underground culture is just basically people who love the art, the music, and money is one aspect of looking at it. And you know, you get into the spotlight through doing the works you got to do on the ground, but nevertheless, underground is where's the most raw, where you see people for what they are before money changes them, or if it doesn't change them, because that's their true character.
I don't know why, but Ice Spice comes to mind. I mean, she surely was underground until last year.
I don't have any comment on that one. I'll just say I just hope that she can bounce back from Y2K.
Why?
There's been a lot of negativity I've been seeing. So when she first came out, everybody had her deemed as the princess. So now everybody's different. So I just feel like she has to do what she has to do just to make people think different again.
She has been getting so much shit for losing weight. And like, I don't understand why. Like she just probably started working out and eating healthy. Like why are people hating on it?
I have no idea. People got too much time on their hands and use it for the wrong reasons.
I know. Social media is very deadly. It's terrible.
It's interesting you say that though, because you did mention that TikTok is allegedly supposed to close.
I know.
In
I
the
hope
US.
so. I hope so, because that's like yet another platform that I can't handle anymore. Like I've got so much work. I can't do TikTok.
I do feel like TikTok does project and does influence a lot of people to think in ways that they weren't originally thinking, and then it kind of is like somebody who's talking to you and you don't know what their background is, but then they're trying to teach you something like how a professor does, and you don't really know if it's really credible or not, if it's subjective or objective. So
absolutely no credit. Like they're not credible. Like I don't know, scholars. They're not scholars or professors or whatever experts to give an expert opinion that then like the masses follow.
Right. Yeah. So I feel like that's one aspect of looking at it. I also feel like the other aspect from like just thinking about it from a neural standpoint is attention spans. So attention spans, like just doom scrolling, like just keep going watching, get stuck in this hole where you just looking at it for 2 hours, just keep going after video. You get to a point where now like you just have to be conditioned to watch a 30-second video, and if it's longer than a minute, you just like, no, it doesn't catch my attention. So I feel like it's just an overload of dopamine that just makes you feel like your attention span is just not as long as it used to be before. Like I have siblings and they can't even watch an episode of cartoons for 30 minutes without wanting their tablet to do something on their tablet.
1000%. I've noticed this about myself. Like I've always been reading a lot since I was a kid, and this past year, like I had to like force myself to start reading again. Like I said to myself, I need to read at least one book a month, and it's crazy. I used to read like one book a week, like
Right.
And that's because of this. Like I don't know how I would have gone through like grad school with like phone, like smartphone. You know what I mean? Like it's just so crazy. But you're right. Like we scroll. It's like 15-second. Next. It's very bad. It's very bad for your brain. I think development.
Yeah, it's another thing too. A little off topic. The thing about the phones too is that I feel like since we use it now, we use it as a mental load in a sense where now we don't feel like we have to think to hold information.
Exactly.
Because now we can rely on this. So now instead of trying to remember stuff, whether it's math, that's kind of like the calculator theory they said back then. Instead of actually learning how to solve problems and know how to do certain things or just knowing information, we rely on Google and stuff like that.
Exactly.
And I feel like using that kind of makes us focus more on distractions more than what actually matters to. It's a whole deep thing I could dive into.
That's so crazy. I always say the same thing. I literally say what you just said all the time. That's so crazy. Yeah, like Google, like I guess my sense of direction is not great, but it's probably worse now because I can't. I don't think. I don't have to think. I just follow the dot on the Google like maps. I'm like, I don't know where to go. Let me start walking and see where the dot goes. And then I follow the dot. Like, but that's not good. Like, I could figure it out. Like, you can just look around. Where's north? Where's south? Or, So,
right.
That's crazy. So, wait, how many siblings do you have?
I have 4 siblings. I have a sister. She's closer to my age. I have 2 younger brothers. One is in 6th, the other one is in 4th grade, and then I have a baby sister. She was born 2 years ago.
No way.
Yeah.
Wait, how old are you?
I'm 27.
Oh, so your mom just had a baby?
No, not my mother.
Oh, that's your dad's side.
My dad's side, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I have two also much younger sisters. Half sisters, right? So, but that's because of, it's a different mom.
Right.
It's my brother and I, then two other girls, but that's for a whole different conversation.
So how many siblings you have?
I have two sisters, half sisters, and then one brother.
Oh,
Same
okay.
mom, same dad.
Oh, okay.
If that makes any sense. My parents had me quite young. They were like 22.
That's kind of like with my situation. My dad had me when he was 19. My mom was 17 going on 18.
Yeah, my grandma was the same thing, like with my aunt. She was like 18 when she gave her, like just turned 18 when she, like her first daughter was born. So the next question I wanted to ask you is about your creative process. Like, what does it look like? How do you go about writing a song? You mentioned a cappella, so I'm sure like you do a lot of that because you're just, a pro. But yeah, what is your creative process like?
My creative process, I mean, it depends, honestly, because I try to approach it in so many different ways. So, like, in regards to making music, sometimes I can be in a happy state of mind. So then maybe I want to make something that's more euphoric and more makes you feel happy. Sometimes I can be feeling sad. So I might make something that's more R&B-ish, but kind of that relates to people when they're going through times where they feel sad. Or I might be mad and now I might want to just make some crazy shit and then just start talking some recklessness. But it just depends, honestly, of how I'm feeling. And then that's how I would approach it. So, like, my creative process on the road, I actually went to the studio and the engineer, we have this chemistry. It was just like off rip. I made 6 songs in 2 hours with him. That's how.
What?
I made 6 songs in 2 hours.
That's insane.
That's how locked in we was.
I went to with one of my artists before. We don't work together anymore. We went to the studio for 3 hours. He made 1 song barely. He was just getting hot. I'm like, this is insane.
That's like the Airbnb for potheads. Let me stop.
Deadass. Wow, so you were just like, and wait, so you wrote those songs in the stew, or did you have like your lyrics prepared prior?
So for those, that session was a different session. For the session that I made the 6 songs in 2 hours, that one was, I had basically everything written down. So I already choreographed how I wanted everything to be structured. So time is money, money's time. So
sure.
I already knew what I was gonna do when I went there. For on the road, I did a song earlier that was written, but then speaking to the engineer and also my other boy that came through just to be open ears, they're very experimental. They like to make songs through freestyle, so they
cool.
encouraged me to do a freestyle style of like creating the music. So I'm always up for a challenge. I'm always up for something different. So I took some of the advice that they were saying, and then that's how the magic came.
Do you wait for like a sparkle of inspiration, or are you able to just like sit down and bang it out regardless? Like, even if you don't feel inspired, if I told you right now, listen, I want you to write a song, would you be able to do that? Or like poem without being inspired? Let's say like Coca-Cola is a theme, and then like go. Or do you wait for that sparkle? I guess both, right? Like when I think about myself,
it depends like on like what I'm thinking about with the song. So if I'm thinking album worthy type of thing, then the approach that I'll have with that would be something completely different than something I'll throw on a mixtape. So like just having that in mind, it's kind of hard, but it's a feeling, and like when you're creative, you know how that feeling is. But I definitely do go through writer's block. So when it comes to like trying to formulate ideas and stuff of how much of a song can I write, it just depends on the topic and how I'm feeling. And honestly, sometimes it could take me an hour to write a whole song, like with 2 verses, 2 hooks, and sometimes it'll just take me like 3 weeks to finish a song.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And do you ever go and let's say you wrote a song in one sitting, would you go back and revise it?
I do all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, for me, personally, I'm always asking people how they go about writing, because writing is such a tough yet, like, greatest thing.
Yeah, it can get stressful for a fact.
Like, for me, it's easier to produce ideas, but it's harder to force myself to go back and edit. And the magic is in editing. You have to edit. Like,
Right.
I'm sure there's, geniuses out there who just can't sit down and write a whole novel or whatever. But for me, I can, like, shit out ideas any day. And then the issue is, like, going back to it and, like, revising it, I think.
Sometimes the when it's too repetitive, it can get a little bit overwhelming at times, and then it could just make you feel like, that's kind of how it is too in the
tough.
studio, when you keep hearing the same loop back and back and back, and then you kind of lose your drive of like, oh well, damn, I don't feel as motivated anymore.
I know it's tough.
But yeah.
So how do you keep yourself motivated?
To be honest, I keep myself motivated just for knowing like how far I've come, and like poetry, creating music, people that was along with me in the journey, some that are not here anymore, some that are still here. A lot of people fell off from like creating, and I felt like they was really dope. And it's just the passion. I feel like poetry helped me to be able to write, but then music is something that I indulge in every day, that I listen, whether it's people I've looked up to or people that is in the same realm as I am. Like, I'm open to listening to anybody, and music is a form of expression, like art.
Of course.
So
yeah,
that's why like for me that's how I view it.
Do you still write poetry, by the way, occasionally?
From time to time,
Yeah.
I kind of wrote like, I just recently wrote something on the way over here actually, and it's called Poetic Flow. So,
Would you like to share? Or is it...
you want to hear it?
Yeah, if you feel comfortable.
Sure, I could. I'll read you a little bit of it.
Oh, I love it. Yes, please.
Alright, so it goes. I need an anecdote. This my poetic flow. I tucked inside an envelope when I was feeling low. Can't even lie with a time, but do I miss it? No. It's hard to buy my state of mind when I was low on dough. I had to grind, so I relied on what I do the most. I analyze and left behind shit that don't help me grow. I realized to my demise that I can never fold. It took some time, but deep inside I was already cold. Not cutting ties, but all obliged, but look skeptical. I caught a star inside my eye, but you ain't even know. Don't see the signs, it's like I'm blind without my spectacles. I'm on a rise, just like a high that feels impeccable. Declare the mind and hear the soul is all I really know. I'm trying to climb and reach my goals, I can't afford to fall. I'm too inclined to things I sow is what I reap the most. I redefine the things I know, then put them in a joke. I'm on C9, I'm kinda slow off the shit I talk. Love when I rhyme is kinda dope, how I know the ropes. I'm trying to shine inside your soul like the Holy Ghost. The last in line not far behind, or the people's goats. This is my poetic flow.
That's fire.
Thank you.
You just wrote it on your way here?
Yeah, I wrote this on my way here.
That's amazing. I love
Thank you.
it. It would have taken me probably like to write something like this forever, like, I don't know, a month.
A month? Sometimes it gets like that.
Cause I get like anxious, so I will go back and I try to play. Well, I don't write poetry much, but actually I wrote a poem and like a piece that I am thinking of performing at the Norican Poetry Cafe.
Oh, La Bruja.
La Bruja. So I'm gonna send it to you, and maybe you can give me your comments.
Okay.
Because you're fire.
Okay, I appreciate
I'm really
that.
nervous about that though. Like
we're performing in front of people?
Yeah, I did that yesterday. I just read, but the piece that I'm thinking about, it's like intense. It's more like a spoken word, which I would probably still read, but it's like intense.
Right.
So I'll be curious what you think.
Okay.
If I'm trash, just tell me.
Well,
I'm not trash, though.
honesty is the best policy,
but there's nobody's trash.
I won't think that you're trash. You pretty smart.
Thank you. It's just like, it's nice to hear feedback sometimes, because when I'm like writing and I'm with me all the time, like, it's hard to like know what reality is sometimes. Like, is this good, or is this like trash, or maybe it's okay and just needs improvement, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, basically it's like back in school. You give somebody a paper, they look over it,
exactly.
tell you stuff that might be good and might not, but credible.
Yeah.
So, cool. Anything that you got, I look into it. I got a third eye looking through stuff.
Amazing, thank you. Wait, do you also write in Spanish? Do you speak Spanish at all?
I speak Spanish. I'm not gonna say that I'm the best at speaking Spanish. I definitely understand every word.
Sure.
My flow is definitely Dominican when you hear me speak Spanish.
Yeah.
But I don't speak it very properly. There's a lot of filler words that I need to work on, but I can definitely carry a conversation.
What are you doing outside? Like, what do you do outside of music? Do you have like a job or multiple jobs? Like,
yeah, so I do quite a few things.
Yeah.
I'll just say the most patriotic thing I do. I'll be working for the USPS.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, who have like a side hustle. I also cut hair. It's a passed down trait that I got from my father. My father's a barber.
Nice.
He's been a barber ever since I was a little jit.
So you do shape ups?
Yeah, I actually did mine.
I was just gonna say it looks very fresh.
Thank you.
Good. So you can do yourself, yeah.
Yeah, and I also do have small handful of clients that like I go and I cut their hair and stuff like that.
That's so cool. Just men, obviously, or not?
Man, and I also have worked with women as well. I know how to style and stuff.
Oh,
Actually,
wow.
when I was 18, 19, I've worked in the barbershop and I've did everything in the barbershop, but I felt like my potential and everything is still sky's the limit. So
Totally.
it's a great skill that I have, and if I need to lean on it to produce, I can. But I have so many other things that I feel like I'm good at. So
For sure.
I limit myself and devote so much time into one thing.
Exactly. I worked at a hair salon as a receptionist.
Oh, wow.
When I was younger, so I know the world. So what else do you like? What do you do for fun? So you have basically 2 jobs, and you're a rapper and a poet, and like, I mean, I guess rapping is fun, but like, what else do you do for fun? So,
interesting too that you said like for work. So the last thing I was gonna actually mention
Sorry.
for work was
I interrupted
I was
you.
gonna say that during like the pandemic 2 weeks prior to the city closing in March, I actually did a seasonal gig with Randall's Island. I was with them for quite some time, but I was doing a lot of horticulture work there, so a lot of hands-on training, like using lawnmowers, using like the big lawnmowers that you could drive.
It's physical.
Yeah, like using weed whackers, and then doing like landscaping, working with other organizations, and then beautifying their spaces.
That's so nice.
And so like throughout New York City, all 5 boroughs, I helped beautify a lot of parks. I helped basically like just renovate a lot of green spaces out here. So that's one thing that I've always had like an interest for. It is just like I have a green thumb. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, so that's something that I translated over after like not doing it as for work anymore. I still dabble into agriculture and basically horticulture at some points, but mainly agriculture. I like produce. So
my family would love you because my dad and my uncle, they studied like agriculture in college in Poland back in the day, and my grandpa was a botanist.
Oh, he was a botanist.
Yeah, like he was a professor of botanical studies. He was crazy. He was an athlete, like a professor and whatever. He had like 4 kids by the time he was 25. When we were kids, he would teach us names of like all the flowers. I mean, as grandchildren, like of the plants and flowers in Latin, because like they all have
the
like
genus names.
Yeah, so cool. Oh my god, my family would love you.
Yeah, my favorite thing about plants is just it's the most connected you can be to nature. That's the one thing. Question: do you got a favorite plant?
Yes, a tomato.
Oh, a tomato. Oh,
you know, tomato is a flower, right? Not a vegetable.
Yeah.
A fruit, I should say. A fruit, not a vegetable.
Right.
I love tomatoes.
I like tomatoes as well. I like ground cherry tomatoes. I like the regular tomatoes, plum tomatoes. I like all tomatoes.
This is the greatest question anybody has ever asked me. Like, I'm obsessed with tomatoes. Probably because my grandpa, like, he had, like, you know, a collection of tomatoes in his garden. But
Oh wow.
yeah, they're like very beautiful to me, and they smell beautiful. What's your favorite plant?
My favorite plant is Rosa gallica, so that's the rose.
I was gonna say rose, and then I changed it to tomato because I wanted to be cool. But like rose is like the classic. I also really love chrysanthemums because my grandpa wrote books about chrysanthemums.
Oh wow. Yeah, we actually had a few of those in Randall's.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually gonna go to school for like botany and stuff like that, but I didn't end up making it because I didn't have a third reference. So that's a whole nother conversation though.
Oh my God, that's crazy. I'll give you a reference.
if I apply again.
Yeah, for sure. I got you. So here's like a cheeky little question based on one of your songs. So I wanted to ask you, what do you think you need to know if you want to excel? Like, what would you...
Oh, Joey True.
Yeah, great song, by the way. So yeah, like, what do you think you need to know if you want to excel, or what do you need to do if you want to excel?
So I'll give you a little bit of background information with that, then I'll answer the question.
Cool.
So that song was actually made in 1520 Sedgwick Ave.
Okay.
For all the purists out there, you guys know that's where hip hop originated. So
very important.
That's where we created it. Shout out to my boy Joey True. We went to 1520. He had a studio set up out there. Literally wrote everything on the spot, and then we just recorded it, and that's how we made the song. Now, in regards to if you want to excel, I'm gonna say that you just gotta, whatever you put your mind to, as long as you dedicate it, you have focus, determination, you can excel in anything. Yeah. And that was kind of the basis of like what we was talking about when we was at 1520, just saying like, look how hip hop is now, and look where it started as a party that was just here in this space where DJ Kool Herc broke the records and was looping and having everything going on here, and everybody came paying 25 cents and a woman paying 10 cents just to go to a party. Like, just having that introspective is kind of like what we thought about when we made this song. But yeah, like if you want to excel, you just gotta have determination.
Yeah, right on. I feel like focus is a huge, very important keyword here, because a lot of people have are motivated or like have a desire to succeed, but they're just lacking focus. It's
right.
You really gotta turn off all the noise, even if it's trauma, even if it's like some really important shit that you have to process, but like you still gotta focus on the task at hand. I don't know what you think about it, but like I feel like multitasking is a myth. I think you, in order to do something well and properly, you got to focus on like one thing at a time.
I agree with you, but I do feel like there's an exception to that.
Yeah.
So I feel like
trust me, I multitask all the time. I was like on a treadmill today editing like one of my podcast videos. Swear to God.
Right. So like when it comes to like muscle memory kind of things, it's kind of like a natural thing that you can do. So it doesn't feel like you have to put a lot of energy into thinking about what you're doing. You just do it. Versus when you try to do two things that require you to think, like trying to have a conversation with somebody or play a video game at the same time. That's really hyper focused video game like Call of Duty. Some
like
people.
You like playing? Do you have PS5 yet?
Do I have a PS5? Yeah, I have a PS5. Yeah. Oh, you got PS5? Oh, alright. P5 game, PlayStation. Sorry, Xbox.
2K?
I play 2K. Yes.
I'm trash.
Yeah, I've been
playing.
I'm
not trash, but it's just like I don't really play that much. I just like can't believe how like violent guys get. Like the shit that comes out of your mouth is like the most racist slurs. Everybody's just like really. It's like playing basketball IRL. Guys are just like talking shit. You just talk shit. Not you, but like men.
Sometimes I can get very passionate when I'm playing the game. I'll say this about 2K and stuff. When it comes to egos and people,
that's what it is. It's
people
egos.
feeling like they're the best at something, they're gonna show that. It's very masculine for people to do that when they play the game. Yeah. But I will say though that a lot of people are toxic on the game.
So toxic. Exactly. It's too toxic.
Some intentionally like to troll people, and that's what they feed off of, is trolling people and
That's
getting
right.
the reactions off of people. And then there's some people that actually feel like they're nice, and then you have to, if you're not gonna be productive, let me be productive. So it's always like miscommunication on the game. Is always like who's the best and stuff, but honestly it's just a video game.
I know, it's so stupid.
Unless you're trying to make it to the E League and play the NBA 2K League, there's no reason for you to be so butthurt.
Yeah, people are just so extra. If you had one wish in life,
one wish,
what would that be?
If I had one wish, let me stop.
No, don't stop.
All right, if I had one wish, damn, one wish would be, I wish I knew everything I knew now back then, and I probably would have made a lot of more smarter decisions back then. And I mean, it made me who I am today, but had I known what I know now back then, it would have just made me even more advanced in what I'm doing now. So that's probably a wish that I'll say. Now, if you want like a birthday kind of wish,
that's what I'm thinking. I just want a female.
You want a birthday kind of wish? I'm gonna say, my wish is, I hope I could get my families to all come together in one space, and yeah, be able to. That'll make me feel whole if I could do that.
I'm gonna tear up.
How about you? What
my wish?
You got? Yeah.
It's funny. I would think like, I definitely would like to succeed in life. Like
Okay.
Thanks for asking. Really, like I would love my. Okay, so I want my book to be published, and like I want this podcast to blow up. There's like a hidden reason behind it. Not hidden. Like I'm obviously speaking about it, but I really want to help unprivileged youth. That's like my goal. Like I really want to show people that regardless of your circumstances and how you grew up, like I came from nothing, you can still succeed and you can do whatever the fuck you want. The sky's the limit, like you said yourself earlier, right? Like you can do whatever. So that's what I want to do. Like I really care deeply about like kids. I want to make a difference in that way, and I think hopefully this podcast and also my novel, once it's published, I'm already working on another one, will be like the testimony to that. Show people like, can achieve anything you put your mind to.
No, for sure, yeah.
That's like my wish, to help people, and like we should definitely like combine those wishes and like have people inspired and bring all the families together.
Right.
That would be beautiful. Wait, so what are you working on right now? Do you have any projects that you're focusing on right now?
So I recently just dropped Strike a Chord. That was the mixtape that I released on SoundCloud. There's a lot of songs that need to get cleared, so that's why a lot of them aren't on Apple Music and Spotify, but the ones that are cleared, I'm gonna be uploading more of those too.
I love SoundCloud, honestly. I've been on SoundCloud for years. I love SoundCloud.
Yeah, I love SoundCloud too. Honestly, SoundCloud is a platform for artists, and it's like social media, and it's basically like you connect with other artists and people genuinely listen to you there. So I feel like people that actually use SoundCloud, you can actually like have a real community type of thing there, as opposed to like the other streaming platforms. But that's a whole different conversation. No,
that's true. And then I feel like a lot of like music experts or like other artists are like really listening to you, because they're also like I don't know if it's, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of people who are like understand music are with it would be on SoundCloud.
It's more like underground culture type of thing,
which I love.
Yeah, me too. So it's like I like engaging with people who have a passion, not just for monetary reasons, just for the passion of the art itself. Like when people do graffiti outside, like they do it. The some do it just to be mimics, and it looks disgusting. But people who actually do it like the good way, like you could tell, like, oh, this is a good piece of art. Maybe we don't want to repaint over this because it's actually a good piece of art, like a mural.
I love graffiti art too, by the way. Like, I'm so into it. Like this is why I love living downtown, so you can just like you can walk around, and then after a while you start. Everything. Yeah, and you start recognizing artists just by their, not just tags, literally by their art. Like you can tell, like, oh, this is, I don't know, Hegdad or something. Like,
right.
Yeah, it's cool. Right, one final question.
Talk to me.
What's my name?
Dutchess.
Thank you so much for coming. This was awesome.
No, yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't know if like there's anything else you want to add at the end or.
Yeah. This is Dutchess and Her Dukes.
Thank you. And this actually concludes the first season of this podcast, and it's the last episode this year and of this season. And yeah, it's just been a crazy journey because I only started this podcast like in February. So this is
wow.
and it's grown kind of, it's not huge yet, but it's like it's growing. And so amazing. You're the last episode of the season. So thank you so much. And I guess happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you for having me. And happy holidays, everybody. May I have a Merry Christmas. And thank you for having me on the season finale.
Thank you. And thank you, Rick, for all your help and putting up with my bullshit. All right, and that's a cut.
All right.
Tryna stack all of my chips, so yeah, we back on the road. Care about what if, I plan to get rich, so shit, about to go put on a show. Roll me a Nick, straight out of the zip, yeah, gotta know how to sit smoke. If you know, then you know how it goes. If you don't, then don't worry at all.